I am borderline embarrassed to admit that I did not realize that the down payment assistance here in Boston for homes was increased from $10,000 all the way up to a maximum of $40,000 over the summer. That is stunning. I realized it this past Sunday when there was an article that was written. It was in the paper. Excellent article, by the way, and we're going to get into it shortly. But in that article, they detail specifically what it means for first-time home buyers and how important it is to allow folks who traditionally may not have the opportunity to purchase a home here in Boston actually be able to do it. Okay, but before we get into it, if you are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Brian. I am a realtor here in the Boston market, and on this channel, we cover all things real estate. If you do find videos like this helpful, make sure that you smash that like button and also subscribe to be notified of additional videos. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Again, this is an article from the Boston Globe, and it says the city of Boston is exploring new initiatives to help millennial home buyers. I'm not going to read this whole article, but we'll just read some bits and pieces that I think are important. Trying to buy a home in the city of Boston can feel like trying to paddle across Boston Harbor in a nor'easter, excruciating with all of the elements working against you. Many of Boston's leading employers are in the high-paying technology, life science, and financial sectors. That means all cash bids and offers over the asking price can wash away younger bidders without much of a nest egg, even if they take advantage of the city's first-time homebuyer programs. And I know firsthand, working with a number of first-time homebuyers, that unfortunately there are a lot of cash offers out there. There's a lot of high down payment offers as well. So someone may come to the table with, say, 30, 40, 50% down, which again is very attractive to home sellers. So I totally relate to this. Boston leaders point to a variety of programs to provide younger people with a clearer path to home ownership at a time when the housing market is brutally competitive. We all know we're dealing with a high-cost city, said Maureen Flynn, Deputy Director of Boston Home Center, the city program that helps Boston residents buy, improve, and keep their homes. We're constantly working on increasing supply so that the prices go down, but our division is trying to figure out how we help the individual. So we've got folks working on the supply side, and we're working on the demand side. Okay, so this Boston Home Center, they are working on the demand side, right? So they are the ones that is actually assisting first-time home buyers. There's not much that they can do on the supply side. And to be perfectly frank, even if they went out and built, 500 new condos or townhomes or single-family homes, it still wouldn't be enough to satisfy the demand. So I think they're best served by doing what they're doing, which is to work on getting people involved in programs that allows them to purchase their first home. Let's keep reading. Boston ranks 80th out of 100 largest U.S. metropolitan areas for home ownership rates for individuals between the ages of 25 and 40, according to the Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies tabulation of census data. It's not hard to figure out what's driving the city's poor standing. All right, Boston's median sale price for a single-family home was $727,500, according to the Greater Boston Association of Realtors. The median condo sale price clocked in at $725,000, so they're essentially the same. The soaring costs are a headwind for millennial buyers, as the standard 20% down payment means buyers would need to put down roughly $145,000 for a single-family home or a condo. There are not many millennials that I know, not many people, forget about millennials, who have $145,000 sitting on the sidelines. So that is almost insurmountable, especially if you have some student loan debt thrown in there as well. I don't know what the solution is, but we're going to talk a little bit more further on in this article about what the city of Boston is doing to help first-time home buyers. The city appears to recognize where it is falling short in efforts to provide home ownership opportunities to more segments of the population, especially people of color. A working group comprised of real estate agents, lenders, advocacy groups, and grassroots organizers has assisted the Boston Home Center's push to help individual buyers while other city departments work on the supply side of the equation. Some of the group's work resulted in low-interest loans through the city's One Mortgage and One Plus Boston programs, which can offer interest rates that are 0.5% to sometimes as high as roughly 1.5% lower than a conventional mortgage for qualified first-time buyers below certain income thresholds. Applicants also have to put down 1.5% of the purchase price from their own savings, take part in a first-time home buyer class, hold less than $75,000 in total household assets, and have a credit score of at least 640 if they are planning on buying a single-family home or condo. They also must live in the property as their primary residence. All right, so there's a lot of things going on there. 1.5%, that is not a big down payment. Again, in this market, probably not going to get you an accepted offer. Most sellers are looking for right around 5% minimum, and most offers are coming in somewhere in the, I'll say 10 to 20% range, unless it's an all cash offer and it's ultra competitive for that particular property. So while I think this is a step in the right direction, I don't know that the market conditions are actually going to support someone putting down just 1.5%. But here's where it gets interesting. Acting Mayor Kim Janey this summer signed off on a major boost to the city's first-time homebuyer assistance program for those who qualify. Individuals can now get as much as $40,000, see that right there, to put toward a down payment and closing costs compared to the $10,000 previously offered. That is a big, big, big deal. Now, I looked into it a little further because, again, I remember seeing the $10,000. And again, in this market, in the Boston market, it's really not that big of a deal to have, $10,000 is, of course, a lot of money. But when you're talking about a $500,000 condo, it really isn't all that much. So I looked into it a little further, and let's jump into the next article, which talks about how this actually plays out. Okay, this is from the city of Boston, and it talks about the resources here. So buying a home in Boston, if you're an income eligible first-time home buyer, we may be able to give you financial help. The Boston Home Center can give you up to, this is where it's changed, $30,000 for a condo or a single family, $35,000 for a two-family, and $40,000 for a three-family toward your down payment and closing costs. Our loans offer no interest. The loan is repaid when you refinance or at the transfer of title, sale, or when you no longer keep the home as your primary residence. Okay, so let's be clear. The down payment assistance, this is not $40,000 that the city of Boston is just giving first-time home buyers. This is a no-interest loan. That's a big distinction. But I will say this. For anyone who is in the market or looking to purchase a home, the biggest challenge oftentimes is coming up with that down payment. I myself, when we purchased our first home, I think we were 23, and this is out in the middle of Pennsylvania, so it was nowhere around here, and the home prices were much less expensive. I think we paid $130,000 for our first home. But the one thing that I remember about that was we didn't have a lot of money to get started, right? We didn't have the down payment that was required. So you know what we did? We got the proverbial Nana loan, $10,000 from my wife's grandmother allowed us to go ahead and purchase that home. We then paid her back $1,000 a month for the next 10 months. In fact, I think we borrowed it in May, and by the time we saw her on Christmas, she's like, stop sending me these checks. Of course, we didn't. We paid it off in its entirety. You just never want that looming over your head. But anyways, my point is to get that down payment assistance, even if you have to borrow the money, still makes sense. And what I absolutely love about this program is that there's no restrictions on the type of home that you can purchase, right? So you can buy a condo, you can buy a two-family, or you can buy a three-family, depending on what you qualify for. The best part of all this is you're not stuck in a home that has a defined appreciation, which is what typically happens in an affordable housing type situation where you can purchase a home for a specific amount, and then over the next year, 10 years, 20 years, it follows a schedule based off of something that's predetermined, so you know at the end of 5 years how much money you're going to make on that. Versus this, once you're in that condo, it will continue to appreciate, and you can take full advantage of that appreciation. You will see all of those realized gains within the real estate market. So this is a much better program, in my opinion, than perhaps something where it's an affordable housing unit that there are some restrictions on how much money you can actually make on that real estate. Okay, so who is eligible? You have to be a first-time home buyer, graduate from Home Buying Class 101. I think everyone should go through that anyways. Get a first mortgage pre-approval from one of our participating mortgage lenders. Mortgage loan must adhere to the Fannie Mae general loan limits. Have household assets of no more than $75,000, excluding retirement, 401k, and approved IRS savings accounts. Have a household income that's no more than 135% of the area median income. And you have to pay at least 1.5% of the purchase price on 1 to 2 unit properties and 3% for the 3 unit properties. These funds must come from your own money. Okay, so you've got to have a little skin in the game. I get that. That makes total sense. One thing that this doesn't mention, I mentioned it in the other article. I'm not sure if I covered it up, but it talked about credit score. You got to have minimum 640, 660, somewhere around there for the pre-approval process of the mortgage. Recently, Fannie Mae, back in September, they changed their underwriting standards where they are now allowing people to include 12 months of consistent rent payments in your credit score. So if you've been making your rent payments, and the vast majority of people make their payments on time and they pay it in full, if you are one of those individuals, you can now report that to the credit agencies, and it will show up and be used in the calculation of your credit score. So if you are right on the edge there, say you're at 630, 640, 650, somewhere around there, this could have a significant impact on your credit score. So you want to make sure that you are, of course, paying your rent on time, but you also want to make sure that that is actually being provided to the credit reporting agencies. So what do you think of this program? I think it's awesome. I think given the opportunity for other folks to be competitive in this already very competitive marketplace is a great thing. Real estate is just a terrific investment. You have to live somewhere, and you'd rather purchase a home and start building equity in that home as opposed to paying rent and essentially paying somebody else's mortgage down. So love to hear your comments down below. Again, if you did find this type of video useful, or at least mildly entertaining, make sure that you smash that like button and also click the subscribe button to be notified of future videos. Thanks for watching. Take care.